Welcome to week 5 of History 310 Online. This week we will continue to study America in the colonial era, before the American Revolution, that is, and therefore before there was a United States of America. Though often in our minds and memories, the colonial era gets compacted into a brief period building up to revolution, always building up to revolution, as if the revolution were somehow inevitable. But it pays to acknowledge that the colonial era was not so brief, and from the founding of Jamestown, Virginia to the Declaration of Independence, a period of about 170 years stretched out. 170 years. That's longer than the period from the Civil War, say, to our own time. So yes, the colonial period was a lengthy, important, and formative era that stretched over a century and a half. And keep in mind, at no time during that 170-year colonial era did anyone have any idea that American Revolution would happen. Not even as the event itself drew near did most colonists have anything like a preference for revolution. So we have to resist the temptation from hindsight, knowing now what we actually know happened. We have to resist the temptation of seeing the whole colonial era as somehow inevitably leading to the American Revolution. That is a sort of historical fallacy called determinism, which is the claim that because something happened, that therefore it inevitably had to happen. But it didn't, right up to the point that it did. The problem with determinism is that it gives us a false idea about ourselves and where we come from, because it all gets wrapped up in mythology and the mythic stories we tell about America being the land of the free and the home of the brave and all the patriotic slogans that go along with that. But unlike the simple myths about America that we sometimes embrace, the colonial era was full of conflict and diversity, freedom and slavery, immigrant and Native American, European and African, rich and poor, English-speaking and non-English-speaking, Christian and non-Christian, European and African, and very few straight lines connecting one point to another, and certainly no simple slogans about freedom can even begin to capture that complexity. So let's keep in mind that the actual history we study will be far more complex, far more complicated, far more contradictory, and ultimately far more satisfying for being evidence-based and truthful. Now, how you feel about it emotionally is up to you. But however you feel, you can be satisfied knowing that your views stand on a solid foundation of historical evidence and study. So enjoy learning more about America's fascinating colonial past. And as always, contact me if you have questions. Have a great week, everyone.